Hey guys, it is Alicia back. It has been a little minute since our last update. So I believe that was posted when I was about 6 weeks. And today I am 15 weeks and 3 days, and all is still looking really good. And what I'm wanting to talk about today is, firstly, I want to talk about that subchorionic hemorrhage, and I also think it's time to talk about. So I reached that point, and I finished my progesterone and oil injections, which was like so exciting and so scary. The reason that it's been so long since there have been any updates, well, there are a few reasons for that. One is I can't believe we're pregnant. Like, I can't believe we're pregnant. And not only that, but I suddenly became very like self-aware. Like, I feel like my place in the IVF community has shifted. I've been that woman watching videos of people sharing their success stories. And it's kind of this, for me, like two-sided experience. Like, one side of it makes me so excited that for us, it could work. It worked for you, it could work for us. And then there's this other side of me that kind of gets a little down. And I wondered, will this ever happen for us? So for that reason, I just had to wrap my mind around what I wanted to continue doing with this channel. I've made the decision that I am going to continue to share our journey throughout this pregnancy, absolutely. I don't see myself doing, weekly updates or anything like that, but definitely, when there's news to be shared, or maybe like an ultrasound image or something like that, I'll definitely be sharing that with you folks, because at the end of the day, it is hopeful. And all of those difficult feelings are difficult feelings that are real, but we have to dig through anyhow. So I'm hoping that this becomes an inspiration story. Fingers crossed. The subchorionic hemorrhage. I didn't know what that was a thing at all before it happened to me. Although it seems like it's fairly common in the IVF community. I was struggling emotionally with that. In a nutshell, with my hemorrhage experience, I bled from week 5 until week 9, a little bit into week 9. So, and it wasn't continual, but I'm just saying I was on edge for a solid over a month. It started to get to me. So I can't believe that here we are today, 15 weeks, 2 days, and it's like I'm looking at that in the rearview mirror right now, and at the moment it didn't feel like I ever would. So I'm feeling a lot better, and that's why I'm here again, sharing with you folks. Okay, so from the last video, you all know week 6, week 5, we had that, pretty scary, like, gush of bright red blood. And that was the beginning of the joy of subchorionic hemorrhage. And then week 6, we went in for our ultrasound, and that's where that hemorrhage was actually diagnosed. So, you know what? I'll put the picture here. I know y'all have seen it in the previous video, but I'll just add this in here. So that was our little creature to start. And yeah, so week 7, I returned for another ultrasound because they wanted to keep an eye on that subchorionic hemorrhage, and also just to like double check that baby's still doing really well. And I'll insert a picture right here for you. So that was really neat. So it went from, my husband said it looked like a snail before, and it kind of did. And then now it's just this like little blob, but it was cool because we could like really, really clearly see the heart beating in there. So that was pretty gosh darn exciting. Now, that 7-week ultrasound, I will say this. The technician, I'm fairly certain, just kind of had like a requisition. And I think it might have said something like, abdominal ultrasound, and that there was a pregnancy. I don't think that that technician actually had a note that we wanted to look for that subchorionic hemorrhage. So this 7-week ultrasound was IVF, folks. You know what I'm talking about. This ultrasound was done on my stomach, and it shocked me. You know what I mean? Because every other ultrasound to that point had been internal. And so that was pretty exciting to make it to the point where we can see this baby like on my stomach. And where I noticed like that technician seemed like just zip, 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 like really fast about everything. To the extent that when she finished, she closed the drapes and I was like getting dressed. And she was discussing the results with me through the curtain. It was very odd. I haven't had anything like that before or since. It just was one odd experience. And as she was discussing it, I thought, okay, we're chatting. So I asked her, did you notice a subchorionic hemorrhage? Response was, I didn't like get a picture of one. So I thought, oh, okay, I guess we're healed. And so yeah, life went on. Week 8 comes along and I went to our satellite clinic and met with the doctor there and officially graduated, and a referral was made to a proper OBGYN. So that was really exciting and also a bit nerve-wracking. I've just been so involved with our fertility clinic for so long. I was kind of like, what happens now? What do I do? So also during week 8, I continued spotting. Some days like heavier, some days there might be nothing at all, but I know that every time I went to the bathroom or every time I felt something, I was like checking. It was pretty stressful, to be honest. Week 9 comes along, and somewhere in that week we had another like proper gush. So now I'm concerned again. So I went in and we to the emergency room, and another ultrasound was done. There was in fact a small subchorionic hemorrhage there still. It was classed as very small. I think it measured, the report said 1.3 centimeters. So I had an explanation for my bleeding. Within like 1 to 2 days, I had a little bit of odd spotting, and I'm happy to report, I think if I look back, I spent a lot of time like anxiously checking when I went to the bathroom or checking if I thought I felt something. But I think it's safe to say since week 10, we've been good. We have been good. That was tough. That was tough. And I have to say, I know that there are women out there who have that subchorionic hemorrhage, and it was just over a month. That's it. And I know people have it for the whole pregnancy, and the stress, my Lord. But I'm just sharing, that's our story. And yes, I'm trying to put it in perspective. So at this point, am I upset that it happened? No. I mean, what I look at is this. I have bleeding with an explanation for a short period of time, and it appears to be all over with. So week 11 comes around, and guess what that means? At my clinic anyway, I know that the stop times for progesterone are a little bit different based on your physician and based on your individual, reasons for using IVF. But for me, it was through week 10. Once I hit week 11, done. So firstly, was I anxious? Absolutely. Essentially, he explained that at this point, the placenta has completely taken over. There's tons of progesterone available for supporting the pregnancy, and an overflow. And he explained some of the symptoms I was feeling were because of that overflow. And this was beautiful. He said, if you are nervous and would like to continue the progesterone in oil, you absolutely may do that. It's not going to hurt a thing. You are just sprinkling a teaspoon of salt in the ocean. And everything was fine, especially considering like the bleeding we had and everything. my mind kind of worried that that might happen, although that wasn't a connection at all. Nothing happened. It was fine. Last but not least, I want to talk about a few things. So I got a Doppler. With all that anxiety from that hemorrhage, I think whether you have a hemorrhage or not, there's so much to worry about. And we're so used to in IVF, just such frequent ultrasound opportunities. And once you're pregnant and you graduate that clinic, you just end up on a regular pregnancy schedule. And there are not a lot of ultrasounds in comparison to what we go through in IVF. So that made me a little anxious. I know some women do, request more frequent ultrasounds. I was almost going to be one of those women until I got the Doppler. So, you know what? I'll put a little video. Yeah, I'll just attach a little video here of me actually using it, and then you can see what it looks like. It's the Sonoline B brand that was recommended by somebody else. That's my Doppler. That's a whole thing, if you're interested in a Doppler, do your research. There are, for some people, like some pros and some cons to it. There's a little bit of like discussion around how safe the ultrasonic waves are and stuff. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it personally. I use that Doppler once a day, sometimes twice a day if I'm having like some weird sensation or discomfort, just to make sure everything's good. That's my stance on it. It works for me. It helps to ease my mind. 13 weeks, 4 days for us was it's called the EFTS. Trying to think, early first trimester scan. And I believe it's optional. I wanted it. Essentially, like, it was the best ultrasound we've had yet. So firstly, my husband was able to come. He took the day off work to come to that because he commutes. That's just kind of how that works. And it looks like a little person at this point. It's not a blob anymore. It was so incredible. But I was shocked. Like, they were kind of also going through and checking. They're like, oh yeah, there's 4 chambers to the heart. They could see that. There's 2 sides to the brain. They checked that every bone was there that should be. They checked that they checked kidney function, and our baby had a full little bladder at the time of the ultrasound. So I had no idea how thorough that they would be. So I'm going to post the first picture. So this is like baby. I have to explain this picture to people often. So babies, like, this is baby's back, and then baby's head and baby's feet. So we're belly sleeping right now. But I thought that was just so incredible that last I had seen kind of like this little blob, and the little person. It's so great. And yeah, so then we got just another picture. It's kind of more of a profile picture of baby's face. Hopefully that is easy for you to kind of make sense of. So yeah, and then after the EFTS scan, we got our results in like 4 days, which I think is really fast, and all's good. There was not any reason to do any additional testing at all. We have a good, healthy baby in there so far. So I think that ultrasound and the fact that my bleeding has stopped has made a big difference for me. And you know what? Also, I'm officially in the 2nd trimester, and it's still not the most comfortable experience. I just have to be careful with my body, if that makes sense. It tells me when I need to take it easy or modify something. But yeah, so it's just, I finally believe this is going to happen. Not fully, but definitely it's going to take a while. It is going to take a while. So as far as my understanding goes, our next ultrasound will not be scheduled until, actually that's not far away. We're 15 weeks, 2 days today, and it's going to be around between week 18 and 20. And that one is, I believe, an anatomy scan. So we're going to find out where we've decided to find out if we have a boy or a girl, but I don't know if we're sharing. So we have to talk about that, but we get to find out. So that's exciting. And yeah, so I'm just going to take a little second here and show you some belly shots that I've taken. So let me just get out of the way. So, okay. So this is a picture I had taken before transfer. So that's where we started. And this is a picture at week 8. And a picture at week 10. Now, I wanted to pause here. I'm fairly certain that my belly looked bigger week 8 than it did week 10. And let me tell you something. Progesterone slows everything down in your digestive system. Just know that. So I felt really uncomfortable with the fact that I had such a belly at just 8 weeks, but I'm over it now. It's outside of my control. So that's why that happened. So that's week 10. Week 12 here is looking a little bit bigger, and 15 weeks. Look at this. I think it's official. Like, I don't just look like I'm chubby when I walk around anymore. I think it's clear what's happening. So that's really exciting. And I'm shocked. So you all see that stomach. I have only gained like 5 pounds. That's our update. And you know what, I'll show you the belly live. So I have a little more of this. Yeah, I think it's obvious what's happening now. So that's how things are looking. I'm definitely into the maternity pants. Maybe I'll do a little show and tell here. So like, if you think back to that picture of where I started, I certainly have not got abs at all. So that is our long-winded update. Always, I wish everybody the absolute best in their IVF and trying to conceive journey, whether that's IVF, IUI, any assisted reproduction. It's not easy. And I just want to share again, like, we're here, we're feeling secure about this pregnancy. Just before this transfer, we had an honest conversation with ourselves. What if children weren't in the picture, despite our effort? And lo and behold. So I wish everybody the best of luck. I'm always open to any comments or questions, private messages, absolutely interested in that. And I hope this was helpful. We'll talk to y'all soon.